Welcome back to the Auto Obsessive Garage. Chadwick with you again for another installment of the Auto Experience series. That is our in-depth review series that features much more than me sitting in this car and just talking about it. Here's what's coming up. Back to the car. Today we are driving a 1995 Infiniti G20t. And that is a lot of name. It's a pretty dang rare car. We're going to get into that right now. It's currently 90 degrees out, which is pretty unfortunate. I've got the AC on. Yeah, AC working on a mid-90s car. Let's go for that. Probably robbing 25% of the horsepower at this point, but you know, sacrifices had to be made. That's the hard-hitting news right there. But this is a fantastic car, guys. This is the Nissan Primera in other markets. Under the hood, we've got the venerable, if not best motor ever made by that company, and I mean Nissan, the SR20, which is a little bit of a fancy engine. It's a 2-liter 4-cylinder driven by a chain, and reliably driven by a chain. It puts out about 140 horsepower, and it loves to rev. Rev line is indicated at 7,500 RPM. I think fuel cut's a little higher than that, like 77 or so, but man, I've owned a few of these SR20 cars, and they love to rev, as you can hear. They live life up high. It's not like variable valve timing or VTEC or anything like that. They just rev out. That's when they make their power. But I can't, I'd be remiss not to mention this car's handling capabilities, because that's kind of what it's famous for. When these came out, and I didn't do my research, apologies for that, but I remember these being compared to like legit sports cars at the time when they came out, and making some pretty serious top 10 lists on handling characteristics. And that's wild for a affordable luxury, entry-level luxury anyway, front-wheel drive car, right? So yeah, it's wonderful. There's a double wishbone suspension set up front, multi-link in the rear, which is pretty wild. I do believe this is one of the first, if not the first, applications of that setup on a front-wheel drive car. How is the handling? Well, with 30-year-old original components, amazing. This car is very composed, loves the canyons, super, super steady. Hard to get it upset, and I want to talk about that just for a second, because we are going to cover driving in more detail later. But man, the visibility out the front is fantastic. The hood drops right away, so you can see everything where you need to be, what you need to see, where to put the car in a corner. And speaking of corners, here mid-corner, I'm going to take in steering, take it out, dial it back in. This chassis does not get upset. I'm doing all the I'm a bad driver moves. It's very hard to upset this chassis, and that is excellent, and that really lends itself to a confidence-inspiring driver. Yeah, these things are absolutely fantastic, guys. We have to talk about the market, which is insane for a car like this. So most G20s, Infiniti G20s, are going to come with an automatic, and that is freaking sad. And by most, I mean 90%, probably, let's be realistic, are automatic equipped. Now the touring package, that little T we mentioned at the beginning, is sure, leather, sunroof, some other cool stuff going on, right? But the big thing, and for the driving enthusiast out there, limited slip differential, guys. So it joins the ranks of its cousins, brothers, sisters, I don't know. Nissan Sentra SER, the B13, and the NX2000 having a limited slip. So the G20t gets you there, adds that extra level of handling. Gotta love it. Worth the price. Now, like I said, G20 with a manual, very hard to find. So the market's interesting, right? You're going to go out and spend, I don't know, I'd like to say between 4 and 6, 4 and 7 for a G20 manual. Now, sprinkle in the T package, which was already a kind of rare package. They didn't make too many Tourings. And Tourings with manuals, it's got to be unicorn status, right? It's got to be. There's just none out there. I've been searching for the better part of 10 years to find a decent one. This one is what I would call a decent one because it does have, and I totally just straddled a ground squirrel back there and he ran away safely. So look at the nimbleness of this car. The squirrel appreciates the Infiniti G20 chassis and handling dynamics. But I searched, like I said, long and hard, and this is a one-owner example. That's right. One lady owned this car brand new for 30 years until it fell into my hands. That's rare and a good sign. It has 181,000 miles, so it has seen some things. You know, it's seen some stuff. You can't forget. But it's generally in amazing shape, all original, never modified, and that's what I'm talking about. So, market-wise, I guess that's kind of the top of the market, right? A G20t manual, especially a one-owner. Sure, you might be able to find a lower mileage one, but they just don't exist. I don't think there's any comps out there. So I'd say for these, you're probably spending, based on condition, you're going to be somewhere between 5 and 8. I think is safe. And it's still a lot of car for that price because this is, let's be honest, this is an entry-level, junior exec, near luxury, enthusiast focused car, and this segment doesn't exist anymore. What has Infiniti got? Exactly. So, man, this is a bygone era and a car that absolutely deserves the review it's going to get today. And to feature it on the channel, I'm super pumped. These are the kind of cars I get excited about. This is a certified rare car. It's a great enthusiast car. It's got so much going for it, from its exciting engine. I mean, it looks great too. Let's not rule that out. But the chassis, the handling dynamics, it really brings a lot to the table. You sprinkle in a limited slip and a good manual gearbox, and you got yourself a certifiable, awesome car. So, yeah, as I carve through these canyons, and it's just, God, it's good. It's good up here, guys. Let's get it ready. We're going to do some objective tests to start off. Get the weight of the car. I think these are pretty lightweight. It feels lightweight anyway. And we'll do some acceleration tests. That sounds like a blast. On to the objective tests. We've got the 1995 Infiniti G20t up on the scales. Let's get that curb weight and front and rear balance. Weighing in at only 2652, the Infiniti G20t was surprisingly light. Just for a point of reference, on Google, it cites that this car weighs over 2,900 pounds. So that's why I insist on weighing my cars, guys. Don't trust everything on the internet. But seriously, this is pretty lightweight for a four-door sedan that's loaded. Now let's see how our G20t compares to other vehicles I've tested. It looks like it's right in the middle of some pretty lightweight stuff. As you can see, being between a Cooper S and a Fiesta ST is a good spot to be in. This is a fairly lightweight car and definitely light in terms of being a sedan. As expected, our G20t fell right in line with other front-drive, front-engine cars from the period with that 60-40 split. Of course, most of that weight is going to be over the front. Our G20t's dash to 60 is actually pretty impressive given the car only has 140 horsepower. Keep in mind everything else on this list, besides the Escort GT and Mazda Miata, of course, have more horsepower than our little Infiniti. So that's a pretty good number altogether. Mid-90s front-wheel drive sedan has absolutely no right to handle this well. Yet, the G20t is an absolute darling of a corner carver. Sure, low curb weight is always a factor, but there's more at play here. The suspension setup. Though ancient, In stock on this example, the architecture is quite impressive. Double wishbone in the front with a McPherson setup in the rear, quite impressive for an affordably priced 90s sedan. Let's not look past the undercase T in the name either, as it reveals there is a limited slip added to the equation. Traction is never in short demand. The car actually rotates around corners. The steering is tight and communicative, and all of this works in perfect concert with that high revving power plant under the hood. The G20t always feels composed, yet also feels light and highly reactive to driver inputs. In Goldilocks parlance, it feels just right. Stately and sporty, subtle with hints of aggression, the P10 generation of G20s has aged splendidly. It has a distinctive wedge shape accentuated by the rear spoiler. A rear spoiler that is absolutely stunning and complements the overall design. Also kind of reminds me of my old Mercedes 190e 2.316. There's a strong Euro influence present on the G20's exterior design. Everything from font selection for the badges to the various lights. Infiniti was clearly targeting European design with its blossoming upmarket branding. The dimensions are spot on as well. This is the perfect footprint for a junior executive sedan. Infiniti delivered the goods on the G20 design, but where is this design language today, Infiniti? Maybe it's all this black leather clouding my judgment, but it doesn't feel especially Nissan in the cabin. Everything feels solid and substantial. The sports bucket seats offer fantastic support and comfort. All the period luxury features are present. We've got working AC, a sunroof, power windows and locks. The interior also looks great and doesn't play host to any trendy tech that would have aged by now. The embroidered Infiniti carpeting escalates the experience even further. There's nothing garish here to offend, and ergonomics seem to have been a priority, even with the interesting fuel door and trunk pop placement. The G20 interior is a fantastic environment to spend time. Not to fire shots at any of the RB fans out there, but the SR20 is Nissan's greatest mass-produced engine. We have a reliably chain-driven 4-cylinder that spins to over 7,500 RPM and puts down some legit horsepower. And we're talking about a power plant from the early 90s here, folks. The SR20DE is a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine that outputs 140 horsepower and 132 pound-feet of torque. Outputs so grand that Infiniti just had to put them on the engine bay sticker attached to the airbox. I love everything about this. I've owned many cars with the SR20, and I keep coming back to how absolutely smooth this mill is as it revs out. It's not that power is lacking down low, it's just that the power plant craves high revs to put that power down, which of course pours over you smoothly as the tack needle races past 7,000 RPM. This is easily one of my top 5 engines of all time. Most G20s come saddled with a sedate automatic gearbox, but not this example. We've got an epically rare stick shift option. I wouldn't rank this gearbox in the higher echelons of greatness, but the fact that it's a super rare option and present on this touring equipped model is more than sweet enough for me. It pairs well with the high RPM shifts that are nearly non-optional when really ringing out this car on a fun road. Shifts feel notchy, and the cable-operated clutch functions so smoothly. The manual gearbox is the greatest value-added option on the G20 platform, and its shift throw is the perfect end to running the engine through its high rev range. The Infiniti G20t is a great-looking and comfortable to commute in junior executive sedan that clearly targets enthusiasts. Infiniti dropped a high-revving engine, 5-speed manual transmission, double wishbone suspension, and a limited slip differential into this machine, creating an engaging, enjoyable driving experience. All of this was also offered at a completely approachable MSRP in the mid-20,000 range. Where is this formula in today's automotive landscape? Certainly, nothing with an Infiniti badge meets this criteria. Praise should be sung, and it is, for the mighty SR20 under the hood, an absolutely greatest hit motor from Nissan. But this car is perfect due to the inclusion of a manual gearbox. Manual G20s are rare. Manual G20Ts are certifiable unicorns nowadays. This car really brings so much to the table. It's reliable, well equipped, hosts a timeless near luxury interior, it's clad in beautiful bodywork, and it gives the driver so much engagement to enjoy. The Infiniti G20t caters to nearly all of the true enthusiasts out there and served as the benchmark in this segment in period. Will we ever see a return of the affordable enthusiast-focused sedan? Only time will tell.